Liz DeCoursey is the CEO for Greater Middlesex and Morris Habitat for Humanity. She's been a guest in the past and joins us again this morning here on Jersey Magazine. Liz, first of all, welcome back. And I want to ask you about the New Jersey state budget decision recently regarding Affordable Housing Trust Fund. I think we're looking at about $125 million here that is being taken from groups like GMM Habitat. Tell us about this.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me back. Good to be here. And thank you for the opportunity to speak about this issue. Yes, so we were alerted earlier this year when Governor Murphy initially presented his budget. And we all know it's a tough budget year, but the budget had proposed diverting nearly all of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund dollars to other housing related programs. And those programs are great and they too should be funded, but not at the cost of taking the money away from the state's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We've been working with other groups and proposed ways to fund all of the programs. Some of those were taken, but the money was not put into the trust fund. The money that's being generated is being put into the general fund. So we were really shocked that this came about, and the impact is quite damaging, not just to the 14 habitats in the state of New Jersey, but to all the housing developers that use the state's trust fund to build new affordable homes, regardless if they're homeownership or rental. That's the intent of that trust fund when it was established. And that's what it needs, not only to be restored to the amount that was diverted, but it needs to have more money put into it, because the need is great in New Jersey. We have an affordable housing crisis. Originally, the numbers were 200,000 homes were short, and now the number, that number just keeps growing as the economy is tighter and cost of home sales and prices and rental units, they skyrocket. I don't know how most people are doing it.
What do you think led to the decision by Governor Murphy?
I really don't know, because Governor Murphy and his administration have been really great supporters of affordable housing throughout his term. Passed the Fair Share Housing Bill a year ago that codified the Mount Laurel into a law, has been very supportive. I'm not sure if it was just a difficult budget year, but I'm not saying other programs shouldn't be funded, but definitely the state's Affordable Housing Trust Fund needs to be restored back to the original amount, and find avenues to increase the dollar amount in there so that we can start putting a dent into the crisis that we're experiencing right
You just
now.
you just mentioned Mount Laurel, and for listeners who may not really be familiar with that, I'm sure they've heard that term, but what are the Mount Laurel obligations?
So the Mount Laurel obligations, it's a fair housing requirement. It had been referred to for a long time, COA, the Council on Affordable Housing, which is a department within the DCA at the state. But basically that mandates that every municipality within the state of New Jersey has to provide its fair share of affordable housing. So the DCA, the state would look at each municipality, determine how much open space, what the impact would be, and the capacity of each town, and what they deemed would be the fair share of affordable housing in that municipality. And then there was a lot of back and forth, which led us to the courts in round three that got stalled, and the prior administration had kind of defunded COA, that actual department at the state. So we spent a lot of time in court, and a lot of municipalities at that time weren't building. Some were, which are in great positions now, but it's broken up into 10-year or decade segments. And right now we just launched, or the state just launched the fourth round. So it's for the next 10 years. Each municipality has to come up with a plan on how they're going to satisfy their affordable housing obligations. And it's not just home ownership, it's rentals, it could be senior housing, it could be for group homes, homeless. So there's a whole variety of affordable housing needs for all different populations throughout the state. And the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is meant to help create new forms of housing for all those different types of groups.
Who qualifies for affordable housing?
In the state of New Jersey, it's anyone that earns that is 80% or low of the area median income, which differs but county by county, but is, somewhat aligned. We all know New Jersey's cost of living is quite high, as is its real estate. So in general, a family of four can earn $103,000 and still qualify under 80% AMI or area median income. If you're 50% or below, you're low income. If you're 80% down to 51%, you're moderate income. But but that qualifies. So
And
it's not what people think are those people that qualify. It's really a lot of hardworking families that just, even if they're dual income, they just don't make enough to pay enough to get a place that's safe and decent and affordable in New Jersey.
I know that in the past, former governors Christie and Corzine also did something somewhat similar. I think I'm
Yes.
not 100% sure exactly what, but how is what is happening now different from what past governors may have done?
So what past governors have done should have been a cautionary tale to what's happening now, because the one of the reasons we are in such a deficit of affordable units in the state of New Jersey is because we lost about a decade of the trust fund being funded to help build new units. So we're still trying to really dig out of that hole, plus address the increasing demand and the increasing costs in the state. So with the defunding of the trust fund, we're going in the wrong direction.
And what do you think is the possibility of further federal cuts coming that would affect
I
you?
think that's very possible. I think it's highly possible. I haven't seen any updates this week, but there has been attacks on defunding a federal program. Certainly, a lot of the HUD money, the department itself, right, which is hard enough to get in contact with people that can assist you, and now the department's been slashed. But there are several programs that developers use. There's a home grant and CDBG. I haven't heard much about CDBG being cut, but the home grant is definitely on the chopping block. And we, like many other nonprofit developers, use a lot of those grants all for the same project. We have a capital stack on and how to make a project work. And the state's New Jersey Affordable Housing Trust Fund plays a critical role in that gap financing. So if we have a project and we fall short after we factor in the money we can raise, the different grants that we are able to secure, and the proceeds from the sale of the homes, if there's still a gap to make the project fully funded, that's where the trust fund comes in for that gap funding to help these affordable projects move forward. Because unlike market rate housing, for like large developers, they can just increase the prices to make more money to cover their costs, assuming people will pay it. For affordable housing, you can't. You're capped at the price that you can sell a home or rent a home. So the money has to come from somewhere else.
And again, we're talking about $125 million that would be
Mhm.
taken from groups like GMM Habitat. If this money does in fact go away, what's plan B for you?
So Plan B, which we're already working on, is looking for other funding sources. And it's going to be a big hit, a slowdown to the growth to try and address and match the need in the state. We're in our 40th anniversary. We're certainly a strong, resilient organization, but we had pretty bold growth plans. A lot leveraging this fund. I can tell you to date, we have received $4.5 million from the trust fund and for the development of 26 new homes. Right. So that's awesome. We had submitted 3 additional grants that are still sitting at the DCA for another 44 homes. The money ran out and it wasn't funded again. So we right now have applications in for another 44 homes that are in jeopardy. Not to mention, I have a substantial pipeline. And again, Jim, I'm one of 14 Habitat affiliates, and Habitat is certainly not the only developer in this space, right? So you're looking at a very large impact to all the different types of housing that's needed across every county in the state. I have hundreds of units in my pipeline. And that's because I've been working with municipalities for the past 20 years to get these projects under contract, get them, if they need a cleanup, get their approvals. They might be a redevelopment project, and that takes years. So we've been working in good faith with, as municipalities have been, to satisfy these obligations. And we are really calling for the legislators to get back into session this summer and find the money to restore the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. This is a big issue, and really mayors and municipal officials, they should be paying attention, because a lot of the projects that are in their plans may be halted or significantly delayed or completely in jeopardy if there's no funding to allow the developers to build the projects.
For listeners who want to learn more or maybe find out how they can get involved, Liz, where can they go?
They can go to our website. It's gmmhabitat.org. And there's an advocacy piece if they want to contact their legislators. We send out calls to action all the time. If they want to, and I encourage anyone, if you know anyone that is in need of affordable housing, please have them contact us directly to get on our interested persons list. We also do home repairs for low and moderate income people throughout the 68 municipalities. But on a good note, I would like to end on a good note. We have this week on Thursday a groundbreaking for 7 single-family homes in Bud Lake section of Mount Olive Township. And the reason I want to bring this up is because this is a successful partnership using the state's Affordable Housing Trust Fund grant. We got significant money from the trust fund to fill that gap. We got money and land from the municipality, and we got money from the federal government through a home grant. It's exactly what you want to happen with the public-private partnership to help build affordable housing. So I just, this works. If the money's there, this program actually works.
Liz DeCoursey, CEO of Greater Middlesex and Morris Habitat for Humanity. Thanks as always for your time with this. I love your passion for what you do.
Oh, thank you, Jim. Thanks so much for having me on to help me spread the word about this critical issue.